so that I can see on one side the slides, on the other side probably myself. But half of the screen is being taken by webinar support, which is black actually. And I wonder how we can resolve this problem.
Sure. Just give me a minute. Let me quickly check that.
Yeah.
Right. So, Dimitris, you were referring to half of the screen being taken by webinar support, which was appearing black. So, do you want to share your screen and show me what exactly it is?
Yes, let me go very quickly. One of the previous ones. We're not live in YouTube yet, right?
No, we are live on YouTube. I have the link. I'll just quickly share it with you as well.
Okay. But people cannot watch what we say now, right?
The live people should be able to see it.
Okay.
But then for the when they see it in the recording, it should be edited.
All right. Let me find.
And do we have any poll questions today?
No. For some reason, takes a bit too long. maybe 100% of your time is covered, full capacity. And you are profitable, you charge a bit. Ah, okay. Actually, what was about to send you, that was something that works well. So I'm trying to find about something that did not work well. So I found the wrong example right now.
So, what you're referring to is that, what you're referring to is that on Zoom right now.
What happens is with previous recordings, normally when they work well, you can see my video on one side and you can see the slides on the other side.
Correct.
But lately, the last few months, the recordings show webinar support black on one side and the slides on the other side with myself in very small screen.
Oh, so are you referring to the Canvas page? Like this is what happens on the Canvas page?
Yeah, this is what we see at the recording over there.
Oh, so on the Canvas page, when we have that recording, there are these two arrows, one going to the right, one going to the left. If you click on that, the view changes.
It does not change.
Oh, it does not change even with that. So it's a glitch.
No, yeah, I'm aware. I tried all the different combinations, but so it's a mystery already since few months. I keep asking everybody, and it looks like nobody understands what is the problem.
I think what the only thing then that could be is when you are the host, okay, it gives you a fine recording. But when you're not the host and we are the host, it takes us and it shows our display and our view. So it will always show the speaker view.
It's very likely what you say that this is the problem. I don't know.
Yes. So like on the Zoom on right hand side top corner, if you see there's an option that says view. Now in a webinar format, the view is selected on speaker view.
Okay.
So if I change that view, the attendee view, it says follow the host view. So whichever is my view, it will follow that one. I can change it to speaker view or the gallery view.
That should help. Hopefully, I believe it's at the view, right? So
yes,
if it is the speaker view, that should be okay.
Yes, the speaker view should be okay. But right now, it's the host is me and I'm the webinar support. So whatever view I follow, it's going to follow that.
And I see something like attendee view, which is, should it be speaker, the attendee view, or follow host's view?
So if we keep follow host view, it would be the same thing that it will follow. Since I'm the host, it will follow webinar support black screen view. Should I change it to speaker view and see for this time?
I just changed it right now.
Okay.
So hopefully,
yes,
great. Actually, thanks a lot for coming with those ideas because that might be the issue.
correct.
All right, good, great. Thank you very much, Sagar. That's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. So we have got 1 minute just 10 seconds to go live. So if I click on the start webinar button, as you are aware, it will bring in everyone and start the recording to the cloud automatically. So do you want to start sharing your screen? And meanwhile, I'll click on the webinar, start webinar.
I will start without the screen.
Okay.
And immediately afterwards, I will share the screen, if that's okay.
Yeah, that would be fine. So should I invite everyone in and
Yes,
start the recording?
yes, okay. Yes, please, yes. So, hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Maybe you can use the chat and let us know from where you join us today. Let's see. I see more and more people joining now, and we have few people joining us watching at YouTube. All right. So, Rod, hello from London. That's great. Thank you very much for sharing from where you join us. Anybody else? I see 15, 20 people already. All right. Jochen from Willingen in Germany. And Valerie from France. More people. Prasad from Singapore. And Samir from Black Forest in Germany, Praveen from Bangalore, Claudia from Switzerland, Everett from Manila, late in Manila, right? And Singapore as well. All right. While you get settled, and Subrahmanyam from Bangalore, if I managed to pronounce it correct. Sonia from Bangkok. Great, that's late as well over there. Okay, thank you. I managed to, I'm not so quick actually. I have problems sometimes with the names, so I'm happy it worked well. So now that's time to start. Thank you so much for joining live. And let me share my screen. And hopefully you can see it well. So today we're going to talk about digital transformation. Certainly in this course, we talk about digital transformation, but we mainly focus on business model change, which is a major transformation. It's not just about changing the way that you run the business, but changing your business completely. So that's a major transformation. But today I'm going to talk to you about different flavors and different colors that we have for transformation. So I'm checking right now because I see more. Okay, it's from Sagar. I wanted to check actually if we have any issues with my voice. So probably there is no problem. I don't see anybody shouting. So we're going to talk about digital transformation overall, because many times we try to change the existing company without necessarily changing the way that we provide value or the way that we make money. So this is what I'm going to share with you today. And today I have a different hat. I'm not the course leader of the course. I'm the director of my own company called Axiocentric, which means value-centric, based in the UK. And what I will share with you is based on my experience. I had the chance to present myself at the beginning of the course, but just to make sure that I don't know whether everybody had the chance to watch the introductory webinar. Very quickly, I have more than 40 years experience, business experience, and digital technology experience, many times as an executive, playing many different roles, sometimes as entrepreneur as well. I had more than 20 missions in my life, transforming and building organizations, or sometimes transforming and sometimes building organizations from scratch. Most of the time it was somewhere in the world, in any of the 70 different countries that I worked. Sometimes it was B2C, sometimes it was B2B. Most of the times it was pipeline-related business. Sometimes it was digital platforms-related organizations. And I have more than 10 years experience as a consultant in many different industry sectors, more than 10 years leading digital transformation programs, playing different roles as well over there. More than 10 years experience, academic experience at the beginning of my life and the last 5 years as well. I've been in many different countries and living in many different cities all over the world. Right now, I run my own business, which is called Axiocentric. That means value-centric. It comes from Greek axio, where I play, again, many different roles like board advisor, executive coach, mentor, speaker, teacher, as you know from Emeritus. And also, since last week, I'm an author. I'm not just a blogger, writing different articles, but I wrote as well a book about leadership. And this is about leading imperfect organizations, which means all the organizations. And this is about mastering the art of Isoropin. And certainly you don't know what Isoropin means unless you read the book. And this is practically how modern leaders can succeed today, not focusing only on one or two dimensions like agility, acceleration, many different priorities that we have, but managing what really matters to succeed. And this is considering more than 130 different dimensions and how we can find the right balance. So Isoroping is multidimensional, asymmetrical, dynamic balance. You have to consider many different dimensions. The balance will be asymmetrical, will never be 50-50, can be 0-100, depending on the dimensions. And of course, it will be changing depending on the context and the time challenges and the resources that you face. So this is what I'm talking about in this book. So today, we're going to talk about digital transformation, and we will start with the why. Why do we need transformation? The second part, which is very important, is what do we usually try to transform, to change? And then, very, very important, how do we succeed in digital transformation? And you probably know that most companies spend a lot of money. There are billions that are spent all over the world about digital transformation. And many times there are a lot of complaints that there are a lot of projects or a lot of programs that fail. So succeeding is difficult. We might spend a lot of millions and billions trying to change companies to become effective and competitive in a new environment, but that does not mean that it is easy to change. So let's start with the why. Why do we need digital transformation? Technology kept changing our lives since 6,000 or 7,000 years that history exists, right? So we have been all the time inventing or discovering, inventing most of the time, new ways of creating or enjoying actually life, creating new things for life, etc. And the world kept changing from more physical and local to more virtual and global. So it's by far easier today to transact and interact globally, not only through telecommunications and through internet, but also with transportation as well, by far easier than ever before. And at the beginning of history, those different technologies have been deployed very slowly, exactly because the world was local and physical. Because any technology that has been discovered somewhere in the world could not be transferred and deployed anywhere else. So it was taking maybe millennia at the very beginning to spread what somebody learned about technology. And that kept being becoming faster all the time. So later on, technology started being deployed and used in centuries, in generations, in decades, and nowadays we see that technologies can be deployed in years or within months. I mean, let's not forget about ChatGPT or generative AI, how quickly within few months became something very, very important that disrupts apparently many different professions and everything in our world. So exactly because our world became more global and more virtual, technologies that are discovered somewhere become very quickly deployed globally. So there is change acceleration. It's not just about discovering new technologies, but how quickly they get used, they get deployed, but also we start having more and more technology convergence. Many of those technologies, telecommunication, let's say 5G and robotics and artificial intelligence and everything, and quantum computing coming very, very soon, get together and change completely industries. So we live today in what we call a ubiquitous world where anybody can have access to information anytime from anywhere. And certainly we talk now the last 20 years about Internet of Things. Practically most of the products or most of the devices, they can send and receive information. We talk about drones and sensors and cameras and of course mobile devices that we can see the world and we can transact and interact with anybody anywhere. And we're talking about artificial intelligence finally more and more. The last few months, robotics, cars that sooner or later will be self-driven, 5G, virtual reality, 3D printing, nanotechnology, blockchain, all those things get together and make our world either easier or more complex, or probably both together. So we can say that's okay, that happens in technology. Why that matters for companies? We have seen the last 20 years more and more well-known brands today that they were not existing before, or we didn't even know about them if they were existing. Airbnb, Netflix, Tesla, LinkedIn, Amazon, YouTube, Alibaba, Uber, Facebook. 20 or 25 years ago, we didn't even know about them, or some people knew about them. And right now they are dominant brands. At the same time, brands that they've been there for hundreds of years, like Kodak, Blockbuster, Thomas Cook, Woolworths, Xerox, Palm, Nokia, Polaroid, Yahoo, I don't know, BlackBerry, Sega. Some of them completely disappeared, like Kodak, and some of them, they still, of course, exist, like Nokia, Polaroid, Sega, etc., but they don't play the important role that they were playing 20 years ago. So we see a major disruption and transformation within 20 years only. So companies fail and succeed faster than ever before because of technology, how technology changes the ecosystem, competition, and how it changes behavior of people. So this is the problem. Large corporations, for example, that they used to stay at the Standard and Poor's 500 for about 30 years in the past before they were dropping to have somebody else to replace them. Right now, the last few years, they can hardly stay there for 10 years in average, of course. Not everybody is changing so quickly. So we can see that if you succeed, you cannot sustain your success for very, very long. At the same time, you may succeed today faster than ever before, exactly because of technology. So technology, on one side, is a threat for many companies to survive if they don't adapt and if they don't change very quickly. And at the same time, for many smaller companies, that's a great opportunity to grow very fast and become one of the dominant players in the world. This is why we need to keep changing and transforming ourselves much faster than ever before. So what we see is that the way that technology influences behavior of people, and especially customer behavior and power of customers, the way that technology changes the competition, not only having a competition which is global, very few companies are lucky enough to have only local competition today. Most of the companies, they have global competition, but also having asymmetrical competition, because you can see suddenly in your industry, somebody that comes to disrupt the industry and take value from you, to take business from you. And this somebody does not look like your typical competitors. So look how Uber went to mobility industry, how Airbnb, without building anything, they disrupted the hospitality industry. And they come like speedboats to disrupt slow-moving large corporations or even smaller corporations. So technology changes power of customers and behavior of customers. It changes certainly competition to make it more global and both symmetrical and asymmetrical. The technology that we use to run our business keep changing as well. Everything that we deploy today, it might be old tomorrow. So we need to learn all the time new skills and deploy new technology. And all that together, it creates the disruption we were talking about earlier on. So if we think about this like a formula, you have customer augmentation of the power of the customer. So customers are by far stronger today than they have been before. And this strength keeps increasing. You have competition augmentation. It becomes bigger and stronger all the time. We have change acceleration, and all that creates disruption. So welcome to the age of fast disruption. That's the age that we move more and more from physical to virtual. We move from doing a lot of things manually as humans to start working more and more with technology. So it's not just digital, it's hybrid. ChatGPT, for example, and generative AI should make marketers to think completely differently going forwards and using those cobots to help them to perform much better. It moves from local to global. It moves from having a mass market of passive and silent customers to have a mass market of super active, vocal, and empowered customers, from symmetrical competition to asymmetrical competition, where the lines between industries start blurring more and more. To succeed, we should never think only about our own closed pipeline system, where we think only about our suppliers, our retail partners, and how we sell to customers. So our supply chain, we have to think about open networks and how we can work together beyond our industry and even with our competitors many times. So we talk about competition rather than competition many times. So the structure of many industries start changing and will change, of course, by far more the next 20 to 30 years. And companies, instead of building companies for stability, we should try to build companies for agility, companies that they can change faster. That's very easy to say, but very difficult to do. So some of the companies where their product became digital very quickly, and that means automatically virtual, they've been disrupted among the first. Media companies have been among the first ones because their product became digitized. So think about text, newspapers, magazines. It became digitized in internet very quickly. Think about photos, photography became digital very quickly. You can see companies like Kodak, they didn't manage to change quickly, they went bankrupt. Think about music, it became digital, right? And video became digital. So media was one of the industries that became disrupted earlier than anybody else because their product from analog became digital. So that's what we call digitization. Somehow the same with finance, because money became more and more digital. So we don't need physical money anymore to transact. We can do everything digitally. Of course, that's a different industry because of regulation and because of how important is our money. It was not disrupted so much like media. Hospitality industry was disrupted because somebody like Airbnb suddenly came and created additional competition without building anything new. The same with mobility industry because of Uber. The same happened in retail because of Amazon that spoiled customers to be able to return whatever they didn't want the next day or within 30 days, and being able to receive your products anywhere you want, at your home, at the gas station next to your office, wherever you want. So retail was disrupted very much as well, but you can see also industries that they have been very slow in changing because of COVID, because of the pandemic. They had to change much faster than before, like healthcare, like education, and like government as well. So what we have seen is that, of course, even today, transformation is different depending on where you are based today, depending on geography, and depending on industry. Some of the industries kept changing much faster than others, and some of the countries that they are by far more open to competition kept changing much faster, and other countries maybe have not been disrupted so much because they have been in a protected, let's say, by government usually environment. So how much you feel the disruption, it depends where you are based and what your competition is doing. The competition agility and intensity. So leaders face a major challenge, this VUCA world of continuous changes. The world is more uncertain. It's very difficult to predict what will happen tomorrow. There is more and more complexity. It's very difficult. You see the correlation, but you cannot see the causation, how you connect the different dots, what created the problem, how can you solve it, ambiguity, many different perspectives about what is right and what is wrong. We need to keep changing and keep learning all the time. So to close this first part, exactly because the world changes at an accelerating change rate, business organizations should change as well much faster than ever before. So why we need transformation? I think that's probably the easiest question to answer. We need transformation because technology changes competition, changes the way that people react much faster than ever before. I think we can close this part and go to the next one right now. So again, while in the past we were building organizations for stability, in the future we should try to build organizations that they keep changing all the time. I come now to the what we try to change. When organizations try to change, I would say most of the organizations that I know and I read about, not only my clients and organizations I've been working on, they try to change from marketing point of view. That's what we can call marketing transformation. Sometimes it's about operational transformation, so changing how we perform today. And sometimes it is a business transformation. And I will cover each of them in the next slides. So marketing transformation, exactly because digital channels became so important today, we need to learn different skills, how we attract customers, how we engage and convince customers to buy from us, and how we retain them. So very quickly, we talk about terms like omni-channel, because customers at the same time, they are maybe at a retail shop and they look at their phone and they get information, they get different prices and they decide whether they will buy or not. So it's very important to provide excellent omni-channel experience. We talk about SEO and SEM and how important it is, because this is how people start their journey looking to buy a new product or a new service. So it's very important, your search strategy, so that people can easily find you. We're talking about social media to promote new products, but also to engage with people. We talk about influencers, how they can influence their tribes about your product. We're talking about programmatic campaigns, how you can reach the right people, the right time to promote your product. We talk about A/B testing, where you can run your campaign differently and check which one people get engaged with better. We're talking about affiliates, that they can generate traffic for your website. User experience and user interface is so important to engage people, whether you provide an application or a digital platform, extranet. Voice of customer and how you can digest what people say about you, and customer experience is very, very important, so that you can keep all the time learning and improving. Having a 360 view of the customer, no matter in which department they are and with which department they engage, you should know about that. And you should know how, whether they had a good experience or a bad experience. It's not about knowing only about the customer as a marketing department and completely different like an after sales department, and different for another, let's say the finance department or payment. You need to know about the customer no matter where they interact with you in your company, so that you are able to provide better experience. We talk about predictive analytics, where you try to predict, if you do that, then how the customer will react, and if the customer reacts in this way, what kind of information you have to share next. We're talking about micro conversions, because you cannot always convert the customer to buy something. Sometimes there are micro conversions, they take smaller steps coming closer to you, but you never know whether finally they will transact or not. We're talking about forum and communities, where you engage customers or you learn from them, you nurture, let's say, innovation, social commerce, which becomes more and more important, personalization, exactly because we have so much information. Many customers, they want personalized information to them, but many other customers do not want. So you should actually provide personalization only to the ones who welcome it, not to everybody. We're talking about ChatGPT or generative AI that is going to start coordinating a lot of easy but heavy-duty tasks that we were doing in marketing. So they will help us very much to create simple content and run very simple campaigns as well, and manage SEO and SEM by far better than humans today. Metaverse is on the way to become an important part of our business for the next 10 years. And virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality is still there and very, very important. So we have to keep learning all the time as marketers, how we can engage, how we can attract and retain customers, because everything keeps changing. This is part of the transformation, and it makes sense that many companies, they start by focusing on this. Now, many companies at the same time also they realize that they need to go very quickly when they want to do something from A to B. So even in marketing, to be able to publish your content everywhere, the right time, to orchestrate all the different campaigns, to get information, to optimize it very quickly, you need to have the right systems in place and people who know how to use them and how to manage them. So operational efficiency, whether it is logistics, it's after sales, it's customer service, it's marketing, is whatever, it's very, very important. So that no matter whether you are effective or not, you should at least be super efficient to go from A to B quickly and without mistakes. So this is where we talk about robot process automation or intelligent process automation, how we change our processes from manual to make them automated, but not necessarily following exactly the same steps like when we had manual processes, but think from scratch how we do it. That's the intelligent process automation. How we provide APIs or use APIs to connect with many of our suppliers or many of our retail partners and customers, so that everything becomes frictionless and easy, instead of copying and pasting data and information from one system to the other, like what we used to do in the past and still millions of companies still do today. We talk about enterprise architecture, how you make sure that you have a flexible enterprise architecture to change many modules fast, because different suppliers might become more or less competitive quickly, and you want to integrate them or kick them out of your architecture, but still it should be everything very well integrated, like Lego. We're talking about microservices, where we use part of the services or we provide microservices. Everything becomes more and more provided as a service on cloud, so software as a service, near zero coding is very, very important, so that people that they use software can make a lot of changes without coding to customize it to their needs. We're talking about business intelligence and AI and big data, how to use it to run faster and better your business. Everything moves from CapEx investment to OpEx. So instead of spending millions, let's say, to build something in IT, like what we used to do in the past and run it, right now you start paying dollars per month, maybe thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars, depending on what you need, or just few dollars per month to run your internet or your IT-related systems. Or sometimes you need hybrid, of course. We're talking about real-time monitoring. It's not acceptable that your systems have a problem and you don't know about that within few milliseconds. You should know today. We have all the data, and this is why we talk about AI OP. We're talking about low-touch IT. So ideally, you should not even know what IT it is unless you are professional on IT. We're talking about edge computing, where all those IoT devices, they can have processing power to decide many things without asking the cloud, let's say, about that. Cybersecurity becomes more and more important, and zero trust, let's say, approach over there. IoT, augmented reality, mixed reality, the digital twins, the last few years, where if you have a factory, you try to replicate what you have as a virtual factory or virtual bank, maybe at the same time, so that you can simulate many different business topics over there, and you learn from this simulation. So there are so many different ways of improving your efficiency and your effectiveness over there. That's not easy to do because there is a constellation of providers and solutions. So if you don't have the right people to select the right provider, to run the RFP, request for proposal, from 10, maybe 20 different providers, ask them to make the presentation, ask the right questions, vote about who might be the right ones, maybe to ask to come back, the three of them for the next presentation, and then to negotiate the right contract, the SLA, the service level agreement with them, and manage this contract ongoing and helping each other while requirements keep changing. If you don't have the right people to do that, you cannot do anything. You cannot buy just technology from a shelf and put it over there and it will work automatically. You need to have the right people in your business and in your IT department to work together to be able to become successful in this. That's why many companies also, by the way, fail, because they think it's just buying something, deploying something, using it, training people, making sure that everybody uses the new system well, making an easy transition from old systems to new ones. It's not an easy job. So we talked about marketing transformation, operational transformation, and here we talk about the business model transformation. And sometimes it is simply for companies to be able to start selling directly to consumers instead of selling only through retailers. So that's the D2C, let's say, direct to consumer. Sometimes it's marketplaces and digital platforms, not only setting up a digital platform so that you change what you do, but to add it as an additional business model to what you do, as we learn in this course. We talk about assetless enterprises, so you can go to a new industry without necessarily investing a lot, simply setting up a marketplace, how you create and you leverage network effects. We're talking about asymmetrical competition, as we said earlier on. Blockchain is so important to automate transactions and interactions among many different parties. So many companies, they use it to order, to invoice, or to manage the invoices, to pay suppliers or customers. So blockchain will become more and more dominant in the future. Everything becomes more and more offered as a service rather than one-off payment. So this is why also payment systems like pay-as-you-go or freemium become more and more popular. We're talking many times about virtual ecosystems rather than physical ecosystems, about agile SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We have to consider it more often than ever before. Distributed applications that are triggered to be applied and provide actually the right service to you, cloud sourcing, competition, NFTs, the way that probably will get paid in the in the future, and pay as well with NFTs, with tokens for the future. So many different terms over there, and we cannot cover any of them today in detail. This is just to explain what is about business transformation, rather than simply changing what you do. it's about changing completely your business. So that's what we covered so far. The why, everything changes fast. We need also to change very fast. The what, so we need to learn new skills as a company, not only for marketing, but mainly for marketing, sales, so that sales is the oxygen of companies, but also we need to transform ourselves to become all the time more and more efficient, because probably our competition, whether it is symmetrical or asymmetrical, become more efficient. So to remain competitive, we need to do the first two transformations, and then we have to consider maybe to change as well our business model, and instead of making money by creating something and selling it, to start making money as well by facilitating interactions and transactions between other providers and maybe other customers or our customers, exactly like Amazon did. Instead of only selling to customers, they use the marketplace to invite other e-tailers, competitors of Amazon, of course, small ones at the beginning at least, and sell directly to consumers. So this is about the why and the what. Now, how? How it's something which is very, very important, because you can try, of course, and you should try. There is no question not to try to change and adapt in order to remain or become competitive for the future. The how is certainly the most difficult part. The most important part about getting transformed is whether we can become customer-centric or not. And what I mean about that, because everybody talks about customer centricity. We have the DNA of considering customers like fishes, or like, I don't know, a prey that we try to get. So the old mindset is try to go to the mass market and fish where the fishes are, and get the customers, get our profit, goodbye, see you never, probably. Now, what happens with those fishes, the customers, is that because of competition, symmetrical and asymmetrical, they start asking everything to become faster, easier, cheaper, better, safer. They become spoiled and they need everything better than ever before. And guess what? Exactly because of global competition on one side and asymmetrical competition on the other side, they spoil them. So we have customers that they constantly have higher expectations. That makes it very difficult to run the business for any company. So the customers, our customers, have all the time higher expectations. We need this kind of new mindset instead of consider them as passive fishes over there. The second part is that those fishes became super powerful because today in their phone, they have all the alternatives. They have more choice than ever before. That was not the case 20 years ago. Today it is. They can see everything, all the different alternatives, all the competition. They have more choice than ever before. They have information to decide what is good and what is not good. They can act, they can transact, they can buy, they can send something back to you, and they can shout whether they like the experience or they don't like the experience. And guess what? They can become viral and they can have stronger voice than you as a brand. They can influence prospect customers more than you, with the reviews, the ratings, with whatever video maybe they can create. And they can also help you, they can partner with you. You can co-create and co-design with them. So instead of consider them fishes, the mass market, where we talk to them and we have to convince them, we have to consider them as partners, very important, active partners in our market. That's a completely different mindset. Instead of just broadcasting to them that we are the best, we have the best products, we have the best services, like traditionally all the business people or the marketers are doing the last 100 years or maybe 1,000 years and more, we have to start listening to them. What they say about us, especially the people that they already bought a product from us or a service from us. Do they like it? Do they hate it? Do they love it? That's very, very important. That's a major mindset change. That's transformation. It's not the digital technology, it's transformation, changing the way we think as humans. So most of marketers still today, they think paid media. How can we send promises, run campaigns to convince people to buy from us? Yes, paid media remains very, very important. That's the only way to reach out and tell people about your product. But very important is once you reach out and they come probably to get more information to your own media, for example, your website, your extranet, your account in social media, this is your own media is what can engage or disengage people and convince them to buy from you. So investing in your own media is very, very important, in your website, to have excellent content, to engage them, to help them if they need help from you. So serving customers or prospects that they come to your website is the new mindset that we need. Also, we have the earned media. That means the reviews, ratings, whatever people share in internet about the experience they had from your product and your service. This is super powerful today. Before you buy something, probably you will have a look at the reviews and ratings to decide whether people have a good experience or not. So modern thinking marketers, they put more attention on earned media and own media rather than simply on paid media. But they are very, very few. So focusing on own media and earned media, it's very, very important. And that means improving customer experience, first from customers who bought from you, and second from customers that they might buy from you. This is the new mindset we need for the 21st century. We're not there yet. Most marketers, especially from at the top of the hierarchy, but even at the younger generations, that they are, of course, influenced from their bosses, they still think paid media. So they still live in the previous century using tools of the new century. We have no transformation in that case. So that's the difference between digital, how the technology changes behavior of people, and transformation, how we change our behavior so that we can become more successful. So customer centricity is not about chasing customers to buy from you only, but how you make sure that people who bought from you have a great experience, because they can become your best allies or your best enemies in the market. So customer centricity is a major transformation that we still fail to see it happening. If you cannot change that, you cannot succeed. That's very, very important. The next part, which is very, very important, is close collaboration. Close collaboration among people. It doesn't sound like digital, right? It's more human. What happens is when we talk about digital transformation, what we say, we talk about technology, we talk about projects, about business models. So we need technologists and technocrats, we need employees reskilling. We feel like we're going to push different buttons and everything will work over there. We have a very simplistic, mechanistic approach how we can unlock this technology potential. So we think about what we need is we need blueprints and roadmaps and frameworks and toolkits and methodologies and templates and dashboards and timeframes and all those things that they are very, very tangible, very clear, go from A to B, very, very well structured to do it. You need all those things because otherwise it's going to be a mess. But it's not enough. That's an illusion that if you set up all those things together, you will manage to be successful in your transformation. What leaders forget is we talk about changing people's behavior, changing people. And people certainly have different opinions, they have different perspectives. Somebody can say this is a bunny, somebody can say this is a bird, or this is 4 or it is 3, that's normal, right? You talk many times about the goals, how you want to change the company, but at the end of the day, every executive and every employee thinks about themselves, how this change is going to change my position, how maybe I'm going to lose my job, am I going to get promoted? Major transformation usually is connected with major restructuring or reorganization. So people will think about themselves first, rather than what you say about the company. And of course, there are a lot of politics in every organization, even smaller organizations, because all the different managers, vice presidents, presidents, they want to kill the person next to them so that they can get promoted the next one. So there are a lot of challenges between humans in organizations. This is the reality. This is the big challenge of transformation. It's not the frameworks, the toolkits, and everything else. That's easy to deploy, and of course that should be deployed. It's how you manage the conflict, the personal agendas, and the emotions that exist in the organization, starting from the top, from the directors, from the vice president, from the presidents. This is where is most of the toxicity most of the time. So collaboration means that you need to coach your key executives, your direct reports. If you're a president, the vice presidents, if you're a vice president, the directors, to nurture trust. People, of course, they will fight against each other for budget, for resources, for many other things. But if there is trust, that can be valuable discussions instead of creating toxicity. And trust means that you can trust your colleague. Let's say if you're a director in marketing, you can trust the director of sales. That is a person, if you ever have had maybe a problem in your life, you are in risk, etc., they will help you. They will not push you over there to from the cliff. Leaders need to spend time with their direct reports to nurture trust. Their direct reports naturally compete against each other. If you have a certain level of trust that people do not have a personal agenda and they try to go against you to steal your team, to steal your budget, etc., then there is good collaboration, which is good for business as usual, and especially very important if you run a transformation project. Leaders do not spend enough time to coach and align their direct reports. This is one of the biggest weaknesses we have in transformation. The second part, the direct reports, on one side, they should trust each other, that at least there are no hidden agendas, but also they should respect each other as well. That helps in collaboration. Because respect, it means you might have different perspectives versus your colleague. Let's say you are the finance director and you have the marketing director, and you have a fight about budget, resources, priorities, etc. But at least if the finance director feels like the marketing director is one of the best marketers you can find in the market, and vice versa, that this is a great actually professional in finance, then if you have this level of trust and respect, those discussions can bring better solutions many times, or consensus, rather than creating underground, many times, fights, etc. If you don't have collaboration, you cannot transform your company. It's very, very simple. If you don't spend time with your direct reports so that you nurture a minimum level of trust and respect, transformation will not work. It's as simple as that. And I'm still surprised how little time leaders spend to coach and align their direct reports, and how much time they spend being in different conferences and talking about, I don't know, the purpose of the company and all those nice different things. You need to spend time with your people to make sure that they work together. If you don't have collaboration, you cannot transform. And of course, you don't run well your business either, by the way. This is important for business as usual. That becomes even more complex when we think about collaboration and leading the whole ecosystem, the way that everything evolves, the way that people work. For example, still many people, they have in their mind that the workers, let's say at the end of the pyramid, they work like in the past. They run very simple manual tasks, and so you need at the top of the pyramid the super smart CEO, the hero warrior that decides what to do, and then you have the next levels of somehow supervisors making sure that all the orders will be executed well, and then at the end you have the workers that they have to execute what they had before. That's still in our DNA many, many times. So you see the CEO many times that is the superhero in a company, and then you expect actually to transform companies. That was probably important 30 or 40 years ago, when everything was more local, the job was done physically, you see the workforce in front of your eyes, working over there, making sure that nobody cheats,
That was the typical way. It's still, of course, the same in many, many industries, but in the new knowledge economy, everything changes. So you want to make sure that your workforce, no matter where they are based, they are not always in one workspace. They can be everywhere in the world, traveling, working from home, whatever. They bring the best of their knowledge to your business. So it's a completely different way of leading a global virtual autonomous workforce, that they can bring the best of their knowledge, the best of their imagination to the business, or bring very limited. That's very, very important. That's why leadership is so, so important over there. And usually leaders do not let's say they're not the maestros of an orchestra. They are rather part of a jazz team where everybody maybe plays different, let's say, different instruments over there, but still you want to hear something which is music rather than noise. So more and more we have entrepreneurial teams. We expect also people to be more autonomous, to improvise, and that needs a different way of leadership. Instead of thinking only about hierarchy, which still has a value, we have to think how we can provide more autonomy and agility in the workforce. And instead of leader to be at, let's say, the superhero of the media, we want to have leaders that they work hard to make their team the superheroes at the media of what they're doing. The leader coach, the leader mentor, the server leaders, and we need a lot of leaders. We talk about distributed leadership. Leaders are as good as the leaders they lead. Because if you don't have good leaders, you're not a good leader, by the way. So that's very, very important. It's not in the mindset of many, many leaders, how you spend time to nurture better leaders in your organization. So we should not think about the autocrat CEO, but how this person can create more and better leaders everywhere in the organization. That's a different mindset. This is transformation. And of course, if you think about the whole ecosystem, it's not about having only entrepreneurs in your organization. It's how you lead the whole ecosystem, which is important for your organization, including suppliers, being part of multi-industry forums, third-party providers, working with startups that they can bring additional value to your business, crowdsourcing, alliances and competition, working with the society, working with the authorities, working with customers, leading all this ecosystem and fueling all the cylinders of the ecosystem. That's important to succeed in business as usual, and especially when you run transformation. So leadership is the biggest challenge we face usually in transformation. So leaders should promote customer centricity, which means not just chasing people to buy from us, but making sure that people who bought from us have great experience. That's not high priority for many, many executives yet. It's about close collaboration of at least your direct reports as a leader. Spend enough time to coach and align them. Unfortunately, that's not the case many, many times. And also fueling constant change, because everything will keep changing even faster for the future. So, for example, you need to make sure that your organization understand that we need constant optimization. It's not like the old physical world. We need all the time to keep improving what we have in our digital assets and digital ecosystems. We have a lot of data, we have a lot of analytics, but the problem is not enough insights and not taking actions. There is a growing gap between accumulating data, creating reports, and acting based on data. Most of the companies doing the first. They collect a lot of data, they create a lot of reports, but if you ask them whether they act daily based on data, they don't. There are a lot of dashboards that make people many times completely confused. They look to the same dashboards every day. They don't know what changed, what they can do. We have created a lot of what I call report-driven analytics, analytics that does not help you to decide what to do next, which many times hibernate organizations with too many reports. Going forward, we need to automate all that. Sometimes, some of the reports are needed so that you can decide using your mind what to do next, and you need to use your intuition and data. But sometimes it is straightforward. You can use anomaly detection. If you have a problem with a broken link in your website, you don't need to think about that. The system can find the problem and can even correct it very quickly. So using things like anomaly detection, real-time monitoring, action-driven analytics, augmented analytics, AIOP, predictive analytics, preventive maintenance, self-healing devices, generative AI, all that help us to do 50 or 60% of the job without even involving humans at all, very, very fast, so that humans can use their minds for something more complex. So we need to use AI and machine learning, which is available and rather cheap today, to have this kind of real-time optimization. If you don't think about constant optimization and real-time optimization, you live in the previous century. That's transformation. If your organization has those systems in place so that you continuously improve what you offer, then you manage to transform your organization. If you have systems and you don't use them, there's no transformation. So you need to apply those new systems so that you can make your team, instead of being passive report receivers, to be active, to provide better customer experience, to continuously improve your systems. That's very, very important. I got the next one, constant innovation. We need all the time to consider how we can improve our processes, improve our products, improve our services. So having a mindset of continuously learning from customers, learning from competitors, learning from others, experimenting and innovating, that's the only way to fuel constant innovation. That's the only way to stay competitive going forward. Constant automation, we cannot avoid that, whether we like it or not. We need to automate everything. Everything that can be automated, it should. So, of course, automation changes dramatically employee roles. We know that. And many employees and many managers they hate it because they can see their role changing. And that's human, that makes sense. So you need to make sure as a leader to understand that the office worker will become more and more in the near future a virtual expert, a data scientist that helps technology to become better rather than just doing something simple manually and, I don't know, copying something from A to B. So technology will do that more and more. And instead of being the technology slave of doing so many different tasks every day, should become a technology master going forward. To do that, you have to make sure that people are reskilled to do that, or upskilled, depending what they do. You have to provide micro-learning, self-job crafting, because sometimes people change completely their roles, buddy assignment to help them in the new role, cross-coaching, so that you learn from each other, the different buddies or the different managers, sometimes outplacement, because not everybody wants to change and they would prefer to do the same job somewhere else, maybe in the future. That's the only way to make sure that your organization welcomes new technology instead of sabotaging new technology, like it happens many, many times in organizations. That's important. If humans are not engaged, you cannot transform your organization. You cannot become more automated. You cannot have constant optimization. You cannot have constant innovation if you cannot inspire and engage people. So before I go to the last slide, I wanted to make sure that we all understand the difference between digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation. Digitization, as I said at the very, very beginning is how you make your product from physical to digital. So as I said earlier on, text became digital, photos became digital. Let's say music, video became digital. Money becomes digital, right? So that's the digitization. Digitalization, you might not be able to do digital everything in your job. So let's say in healthcare, you cannot treat patients digitally 100% yet, but you can use applications to provide digital service partly. So to arrange for an appointment, to get diagnosis, to provide, let's say, the results of the diagnosis, to have a discussion with a doctor from far away. So this is the digitalization part. And digital transformation is about changing dramatically or significantly the company from A to B, either by learning new skills or by changing the way that we operate our processes, or changing our business model. But very, very important is more about transformation of people's behavior and mindset, and less about digital technology. Most people think about digital because it's tangible, it's easier to understand. It's not about deploying new digital technology. This is commodity. Everybody has access to new digital technology. How you use it, what will be your mindset, and the way that you treat customers, suppliers, and others, this is the major change. This is the transformation. So it's about humans rather than about technology. So transformation is how you can build capability of your organization to constantly learn, adapt, innovate, automate, optimize, disrupt. It's more about humans and less about digitization or digitalization, which is more by far more about technology. So to close this part, to succeed with digital transformation, you need to have customer centricity. That means to care about customers who bought from you to have excellent experience, because that plays a major role to your success for the future. You want to make sure that all people in the organization, especially at the top, they work not at the surface, they really work together. There is close collaboration, because at the surface, people, they know how to behave, they can be polite to each other, but in reality, there can be a lot of fights and toxicity. You need close collaboration to have a successful organization, and especially to achieve a major transformation. And of course, you need to nurture this mindset that people have to keep learning, keep changing, keep adapting all the time. It's not one of project, not one of program. This is ongoing. And this is about leadership, because digital transformation will go better or worse depending on the leaders in charge. If you don't have strong leadership in charge, it's very unlikely you will ever succeed. So that's very, very important, not only about achieving some projects, going from A to B, but also continuously keep changing as a company. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, that digital transformation is more about transformation and less about digital. Digital, of course, needed, but the challenging part is how you can change people. So it's about people, and it's about the journey of constant transformation. Thank you very much for joining today. I stop sharing now. And sorry about my cough. I go back to check if you have any questions. You can use either the Q&A if you have any questions, or you can use the chat in case it is easier for you. Let's see. Okay, I hope you are still there. I still see many people, but no questions. Might be good news or might be bad news, but you are still alive. I can see you. You don't sleep. All clear. Okay, you liked it. You're fine. Near zero coding practically means that the technology should be done in such a way at the very beginning. Thank you, Sami, for your question, that you can customize it to your needs without almost no coding, or the coding should be very, very easy to be done. So everything, when you buy technology, you have to consider whether the technology can be easily customized. This is much more for IT people. Of course, based on my experience, that's what I wanted to share with you since you bring that up. My experience with digital transformation since many, many years, and running, of course, businesses, is if you buy a new service, a new application, something, right? Whether it is marketing, supply, or whatever, you better fine-tune it to your needs rather than customizing it to your needs, because everything is cloud today. And when there are updates, etc., if you customize it and you don't have enough documentation, it becomes so complex that on one side cannot take advantage of future updates. On the other side, after a while, after 1 or 2 years, with people especially also coming and leaving from IT department, you create a complexity that might be very, very difficult actually to resolve for the future. So, yeah, my proposal is to avoid a lot of customization, better calibration, let's say, rather than customization. So yes, Samir, to a great extent, the near zero coding should, it's not exactly the same like the low touch IT. Low touch IT is, it's so easy to use the application that probably you never need your IT experts for anything. But it can be as well about customization. So it can be relevant to each other. I agree. They can be related. Not always. Another question from Samir. Product owners can create new products without needing code development by IT. I can see that's your reply. Yeah, that's correct. That's very, very important. It's, of course, easy to say and very difficult to do, so that, I don't know, your marketing people can make changes without needing any support from IT. But that would be ideal. So your business or product owners can do changes without needing any support. But that's the trend. This is where we go more and more. I see a question here. What is symmetrical versus asymmetrical competition? That's very, very important, especially for this course. So probably Airbnb is one of the best examples. In hospitality industry before Airbnb, everybody was considering as competitor somebody that was looking like them. Let's say if you were renting apartments, or if you were a hotel chain, you were considering as a competitor another hotel chain. Or if you were renting apartments, somebody else who were renting apartments in the same city like you. Now, Airbnb came, and Airbnb never had or never built any apartments, or they did not build any hotel. So Airbnb is not a symmetrical competitor to Hilton or to somebody who rents apartment. Is asymmetrical. They came, they created competition in your city or in your country without building anything, without having the same structure like you in terms of cost, without having so many people like you to serve others. They simply used the existing capacity of people that they have apartments available in the city, and they facilitated in providing this kind of service to customers. So this is a symmetrical competitor. Airbnb is probably one of the best one, but not the only one. This is why marketplaces and digital platforms is very important to learn how to deal with this. All right. One slide, you mentioned the two terms, ecosystem and digital platform. Can you briefly explain the differences and similarities between them? Yes, digital platform, let's say ecosystem, usually we talk about many different stakeholders that influence your business. Ecosystem could be the authorities. that can play a very important role in regulatory new laws, maybe for you, and influencing authorities or being influenced by them can be very, very important. The same with third-party providers. They can provide you technology, can make you by far more successful. When we talk about digital platform, usually we talk about a business model that can facilitate interactions and transactions between third parties that is not you. So when you create a digital platform, that's what we learn, by the way, in this course. You have on one side, it's a marketplace. You have providers, not necessarily you over there, that provide the service or product to consumers, and consumers of the product or the service can be either consumers or can be businesses as well. So digital platforms many times can be simply bringing together two different parties, as we learn also in this course, by the way. That's the different versus ecosystems, where you have to lead many different stakeholders that they influence your business. I hope that helps. Okay. Thank you. Okay, now you discuss from IT point of view about, I understand, the near zero coding, etc. Right? Yes, it's building the blocks. That's what I said earlier on. Yes, it's very difficult. Certainly, that's why you need excellent enterprise architects to make sure that what you build as enterprise architecture is modular on one side, and you change different things, but at the same time, everything should be very well integrated. I would not call it monolithic, unless you mean something else, Ibrahim, over there. But everything should be very well integrated. I fully agree. All right, I think we get much more into technical terms that for many people in this call probably might be very difficult to follow. Let's close this session for today, since we are here about 90 minutes. Thank you so much for staying with me. And if you have any questions, any further questions, you can always reach out to me. If it is relevant to the course, certainly at Canvas, at Emeritus. If it's not relevant to the course, hopefully we can connect on LinkedIn, and you can ask me on LinkedIn as well. All right, so have a great day. Thank you very much for joining, or great night for some of you. Thank you for joining live, and looking forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.